Welcome to the Driving for Uber Eats Twin versus Twin Challenge Super Bowl edition. We just finished our shift and we're going to talk a little bit about this first ever versus shift, how we did. I know some definite problems that we both had on this shift. So I guess regardless of which team you're rooting for, let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. This is Matt. On this channel, I help you with the gig economy, your side hustle, your full-time hustle, generating income and creating multiple revenue streams. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. And for the best accessories for those hustles, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront, that linked down below. So we literally just finished like 45 minutes ago, driving for Uber Eats on this Super Bowl evening. Now, again, it doesn't really matter which team you're rooting for here. And today we did a twin versus twin challenge, driving on Uber Eats from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. here in Pittsburgh. So I guess on an overview, how was it for you out there?
It was absolutely hectic. So if you are unfamiliar with what we were dealing with over here in Pittsburgh, it was probably 20 degrees today, and 5 to 7, the prime dinner rush during the Super Bowl, it was nothing but craziness.
So problems, I know I had some problems. I had some kind of customer problems, and then some app problems, but I know you mentioned some issues on your app specifically. So what happened?
Okay, so a big frustration, and I've seen the comments, guys. I've seen you agree with this. Maybe you don't agree, maybe you do. I think for the majority of us, we have experienced this, the dreaded black screen. And if you don't know what that is, once you accept some rides, and this is not all the time, this is person by person basis, but for me, once I accepted a ride, the screen would go completely black. I might see a few details of the trip, but I couldn't see where I was ending the trip or anything. And I have some footage, some tips that I gave on how to actually overcome that. It's actually pretty simple, but so many different glitches for me, from logging in and getting an unknown error message and having that shown to me probably 10 times in a row before I could log in. A lot of craziness.
Huh. So you had an error message that you couldn't even log in? You couldn't go online?
I couldn't even go online. So imagine you're driving, dinner rush, Super Bowl, or any type of rush, and you're trying to make the most of your time on the road and you cannot log in. So I was using my Face ID on the iPhone, so you can use your Face ID and it'll log you in. And 99% of the time, for a long time, I've had no issues. But today, I would get this error message, strange error message, and I couldn't log in.
Well, I know that the driver app will ask you to just verify, standard procedures as far as the face mask. I think that's kind of a pain. I understand it's, needed right now, but I mean, you got to basically pull over. You got to take a picture of you wearing the mask. But I mean, you had the identification verification. They just wanted a picture of you, right?
So strangely, no, it was actually a completely separate error. Now, in the Uber Eats app, if you're new or you've been watching us for a while, sometimes Uber Eats will have you just take a regular selfie, if you will, where it's just of your face, not even of your mask. So now, during this time in 2021, you have to wear a mask to begin driving, to begin your shift. And that's just for safety reasons. But sometimes, like I said, it'll ask just to verify your identity, and that's basically a selfie. But this was an error that had nothing to do with that. It was really strange.
Well, speaking of the mask, I had a customer that was picking up that didn't even have a mask, which was kind of a pain. But let's talk about more problems here. Let me know in the comments section. I mean, did you have any kind of unique error message whenever you're driving? The black screen. Yeah, I've been seeing the black screen more. Again, that's when you're getting an order request and you can't really see much of anything. As far as the actual map, you can see some of the standard details. The restaurant, still see the payout with the expected tip, but you can't see the map behind it. So let us know if you've seen that as well. But other problems, did you have any lag? Because when I was driving, I was experiencing a good amount of lag. And I mean, let me know down below in the comments, is the Google Maps integration with Uber Eats. I would click it and it would, it toggles over to Google Maps. It opens up in another screen and it would kind of just, I guess, spin or load, and I wasn't pulling in. I mean, did you have any lag, any issues with the GPS?
So even with all of the problems, there is some good news. It wasn't all doom and gloom on this Super Bowl Sunday. We made some surprising dollar per hours that we're going to go over here in a little bit. But I think maybe you guys can, maybe you can relate I don't know if it was because it was a really busy day with the Super Bowl and the app was just glitching often for me. But I was still able to do actually 2 different Uber Eats quests that really bumped up my earnings during this dinner rush. So it was interesting, not all bad.
And I wanted to talk about something. If you don't know, we always talk about driving on as many apps as you can, comparing bonuses. But if you didn't know, if you have a friend, a family member, a spouse that also drives for whatever app, it can be Uber Eats or it can be DoorDash or even Postmates, is you might see pretty different promos, right? Now you saw Boost Pay tonight, right?
I did, okay. Yeah.
I didn't even see any Boost Pay, which is kind of crazy. So again, you can be drivers in the same marketplace, but you'll get different bonuses. I mean, does it depend on tenure? I don't know. Does it depend on when you signed up, or is there something on the back end that we're not seeing that they're kind of tagging your profile maybe to certain promotional periods?
Right, but does that even matter? So again, you'll be really surprised even with what Mike said, how close our hourly rates were and how high they were. So again, don't overly compare yourself to, just worry about yourself when you're on the road, and you're going to have your own boost, your own surge, and it basically is what it is.
So you were driving on a Quest, you had the Boost Pay, and you had Surge, I assume, right? Mm-hmm. So I was driving, basically, this is interesting, lead in for the, listen to this, but let us know what you got if you did drive on a Super Bowl evening, weekend, what have you. But did you have a consecutive trip bonus where it's like, hey, take 3 trips in a row and we'll give you like $15? Did it offer that to you?
I did have a quest where you would drive 4 trips and you got a bonus. I don't believe it had to be consecutive.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't know, a quest is just a batched bonus. It's like, hey, do 4 deliveries, do 10, 15 deliveries, and we'll give you an extra like $20 or whatever it is. But a consecutive series bonus, I call it a consecutive trip bonus. It's just that. It has to be consecutive. And I had a good, they were throwing that at me tonight like crazy. They're doing, hey, you've accepted 1 trip. Keep accepting trips to get 3 in a row. And they would offer me, I think it was like $15 or whatever it is. Maybe not even 15 because that's pretty good. But I ignored that. And actually, let us know down below in the comments. How do you feel about consecutive series bonuses? Because, maybe I didn't want to accept the next one. You have to accept it. You cannot go offline and you cannot decline the next order request. So I took one, right, my first order, but then they'd send me another order. And it would say, hey, if you decline this, you're no longer qualified for that streak bonus.
Right. Yeah, so mine was pretty straightforward. It was accept this many trips during a certain time period and get a bonus.
You have the Quest batched bonus.
Right.
Okay. So for any big events, this could be Super Bowl or maybe there's some other events coming up in your marketplace. But it kind of stands to reason where the orders are going to come from. Did you find a lot of pizza places and or wing spots? Because, football game, it kind of made sense. I got a good, and this is another reason, get the pizza bag if you plan on doing this for a while. That's linked down below. In the Amazon storefront, I use a pizza bag. It came in handy. Did you have any, I guess, game time restaurant spots? Did you have pizza places and wing places?
Yes, for sure. But here's the thing. So I had so many stacked orders. And for the first time that I've seen it, I've picked up at 2 different restaurants completely. They weren't near to each other, and it was for the same person. So that's the first time that I saw it. I was driving around, and then I realized it said both orders are for the same customer, and I have a screenshot of that. And it was really interesting, but that's good. That's good for you. So a lot of stacked orders, and yeah, a lot of pizza places. So if you're thinking, where are my power strips? If it's a football game, if it's a big event, now a lot of people are going to that old standby, that pizza and wings. Those places are pretty popular.
I was thinking about that because a stacked order, it's 2 assignments or more for 1 driver. Mm-hmm. So typically a stacked assignment is going to be from, 2 orders from Pizza Hut or 2 orders from Burger King for 2 different customers. You're the inverse of that. You had 2 different restaurants, but the same customer. Kind of my knee-jerk reaction would be like, all right, I don't want to pick up from 2 restaurants. And let me know if you feel the same way, because then, you got to go to restaurant A, restaurant B. One of them may have a delay. I did have a delay tonight. My last order, it was a stacked order, and it was 2 different pizza places. this is what you may find. Let us know if you've had a battle with this. But the first place said it was going to be 10 minutes. And then, I went to the second pizza place. There was still a little bit of a wait there. But, how did you feel about that? Did you know when you accepted it that it was for one customer? Or did you kind of realize that after you got into the order?
Well, it's not often that you get a stacked order for the same customer. Like Mike said, maybe it's at the same restaurant and it makes sense. But logistically, I guess Uber Eats decided that I was the closest driver maybe to those restaurants and the customers. So they gave me both orders. But here's a really good power tip that Mike mentioned, the wait time. So if you're driving during that big event, then if you're waiting and they say as soon as you get in there, well, it's going to be a little while, then ask them, how long is it going to be? Because if they indicate, well, we haven't even started it yet, then it's up to your discretion to accept or decline at that time the ride. And you can decline because of excessive wait time. That is one of the drop down buttons that you can select.
Now, you're referring to cancel, right? We should say cancel versus...
Yes,
decline.
Cancel. Thank you. Cancel. So, but again, I don't want to confuse you. If there's an excessive wait time, a really good power tip that we share on this channel is just use your best train of thought. And real quick, I have a really good example of that. So stick around for this. I had accepted an order. And if you become familiar with your marketplace, you know some of those restaurants that are most oftentimes slow.
Right.
The restaurant name came in as a different name, and it took me to the same restaurant I was trying to avoid. So it was almost camouflaged as a different restaurant.
Now, was it one of those virtual restaurants? I have one of those, and let me know if you have one. I had a Guy Fieri's tasty Flavor Town Kitchen is what it was, but it was actually a pickup at Buca di Beppo, which is an Italian restaurant. So that's what's called a virtual kitchen. So was it one of those? So how did that actually work?
Yeah, no. So here's the really surprising thing, guys. So let's say, as an example, that Chipotle is one of those stores that's slow, but it comes in as maybe so-and-so Mexican restaurant or something. It sounds like a new restaurant, but then you get there, and then in the description of that restaurant, it says enter into Chipotle. Right. So like Mike said, sometimes virtual orders will give you those instructions, but this one, there was no virtual restaurant inside of this place. So it's all around confusing. That's how my day started.
Well, it certainly sounds like we both had some issues, but it was pretty busy. I know at least for me it was busy, but the premise of this video is it's a twin versus, I guess it's a Mike versus Matt. It's a twin versus twin challenge, driving for Uber Eats, Super Bowl edition. So with that being said, let's kick off here and get into the numbers. So the earnings for tonight, now we really kept everything similar here. We were driving at the same times. Again, of course, in the same marketplace, but other than that, we just left it up to strategy. So with that, let's get into some of these numbers here. The grand total for the shift, Matt earned $77.82. Now for my driving, I earned $89.39. But just some food for thought. My shift did run a touch longer. We were aiming at 5 until 7 p.m., but I did end up being online a little longer due to a last minute delay for 2.5 hours. So when it comes to total gross revenue, Matt actually beat me out slightly, $38.91 per hour versus my $35.76. So Super Bowl, I think it kind of stands to reason. It's going to be pretty busy, right? But I want to translate this really to your marketplace because, what after this, right? How do you stay busy? So I think this is really a testament to knowing the days, right? The times, where to drive. Because, for instance, when you drove in the early AM, it was pretty slow at times. So you started to understand the marketplace here in Pittsburgh. So let us know down below in the comments, who are you rooting for in this video? It looks like Matt just beat me out on the gross revenue per hour. How did you feel about this shit? Are you happy with that? $38.91 per hour. How do you feel about that?
So let me just say, if you're thinking about driving, if you're new or you've been driving, so think about a side hustle that you can make nearly $40 an hour. So that's what excites me. I barely won, but I still won. But it's an amazing side hustle. So, and think about this. If you are watching and you have can relate to those issues, those black screens, the long wait times. Maybe you can't log in. It's frustrating because my numbers could have been even higher. But all in all, it's a great flexible side hustle that's a lot of fun, and it's a little bit competitive, which is also fun, but it's all around getting out there and learning your marketplace.
So let us know down below in the comments, did you drive during the Super Bowl? And or what are the best events in your marketplace? Because again, we're going to look forward here to the best days and times going forward after this, to drive here. And like Matt said, to have it as a side hustle. I mean, frankly, you can even just save these apps for those busiest times. Now, Friday, Saturday evening, or maybe you have things going on in your marketplace, you can pretty much save it for those busy days. So let us know down below in the comments, how do you think we did? And if you drove, let us know how you did as well. So if you got value in this video, definitely drop us a like. You can also click or tap the screen here for my newest video, and I'll see you in the next one.